Alrighty. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Mining Market Signal. My name is Seth and you're watching Mine Your Biz. Thank you for being subscribed if you're not already. If you aren't subscribed and you are wondering about whether or not you should, obviously just go ahead and hit that button. Make it happen. And then click the bell icon. Turn on all notifications so that you know when new videos come out. We're in the middle of gem hunter season, but also there's a lot of timely information that I want to be able to bring to you in the middle of whatever the rest of this bull run is, or whatever the markets are about to do. There are a lot of question marks, right? It could go either way. Definitely been a lot of institutional sort of interference, I suspect. A lot of people have confirmed a lot of institutional interference, and it's difficult to know which direction to go in markets like this. Let me jump straight into the Fear and Greed Index, show you that right now we have a score of 27. This was calculated last night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it has not been updated since that point. Again, guys, thank you for being here live. Definitely appreciate the support. But let's take a look at the trend, guys. We've been in the middle of almost a full month of fear, or at least below a neutral value on this this particular metric, right? The Fear and Greed Index. This is just an aggregate of both Twitter and Reddit, so it gives us a really solid idea of what the markets are actually feeling. But why? Why do they feel that way? I think that's always a big question that we have. Guys, I may be putting your live chat on screen as you come in, so do be on your best behavior. I appreciate that. But right now, it's a lazy Sunday. I don't expect for a lot of people to be commenting or even tuning in necessarily. I just wanted to get this done fast, so I'm producing it live so that it's now on the channel. Going to Miami, I'm just going to let you know, on a personal level, it took a lot out of me. I feel like an old man these days. Like the team was just going crazy in Miami, and I was kind of along for the ride. I don't party, but I'm part of the team, right? Team player. I had to be there. So we had a lot of late nights, and by late nights, I mean not getting to bed till like 6 or 7 a.m. the next morning, getting a couple hours of sleep, then going back to the trade room floor or going back to the other events that we had to handle. So I feel pretty worn out. I'm just, yeah, that's the long and the short of it, guys. I feel pretty worn out. So it's good to be back home. Hey, you got Bitcoin Jake with the eyeballs, Crypto Badell saying, Mind Your Biz, happy Sunday fun day. Appreciate that as well, guys. This is also a day of rest for my family. We try to take Sundays off. Kids are watching movies over in the den right now. So, but for me, you know, I had to touch base with you guys. I really fell off my publishing schedule after I got back from Miami. So this is me apologizing to you for that. Milos says, always good to hear your updates. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Milos. This is important to me that we do this segment because I do a lot of sponsored content too. You guys know, do a lot of sponsored content, do a lot of content, do a lot of client work that it does not make its way onto this channel. And it's important to me to have this touch base on a regular basis with you guys so that you know what I'm like, my personal thoughts. And if I am formulating a strategy, kind of what my strategy is for whatever the next phase is. I've been pretty open with the Bitcoin chart that I publish on TradingView, not a technical analyst. Do I have to run the red screen? Yeah, I probably do. None of what I do on this show is meant to be any kind of legal or financial advice, but we do talk about things from an informed perspective. You know, we all have a little bit of our background and expertise, and so I try to share what I think I can share, and then try to be open about what I think my limitations are. So yeah, it's important to me to have that touch base. Golden Wolf is in the chat saying, OMG, finally my time lined up for a live stream. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that Sunday is where it's working out a little later on in the morning. Give me a chance to sleep in. But guys, let me take a look at that chart just once again. Appreciate you chiming in and having your chat up here on the screen. But this is the Fear and Greed Index. The plot shows that we're almost a full month into this. Now, you know, I don't think there's anything magical about being one full month in, but we have seen some very interesting price moves. And, you know, without being like overly vague, some of these price moves obviously mean something. And what I'm seeing from other technical analysis shows and shows that have far deeper teams of professionals and experts that they have on their payroll is that they're concerned. They're unable to read these markets. For example, Plan B on Twitter was calling for 100K at the end of November. That clearly did not pan out, right? Like, this is a person who's been talking about 100K by the end of November for a while, and then said, I'll stake my reputation on it, or whatever, you know, some such bold promise and language. And it didn't happen, right? Like these are people that only do technical analysis and only analyze markets. And some of them are just really concerned about what happens next. They don't have a crystal ball. So if those guys who are professional technicians can't figure out what's definitely going to happen next, man, how am I going to tell you what's going to happen next? I'll just admit that I have ignorance and that the market is kind of ambiguous. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say, oh, things are getting interesting now, right? The technical analyzer, right? I don't want to become another walking meme. I already tell enough dad jokes that, you know, I got enough problems. Just say it. Appreciate you guys being in here live, though. If you can, smash that like button and subscribe. Every click counts. Appreciate you being here live and supporting, guys. But let's take a look at, again, not just Fear and Greed Index, but what is informing it. First off, I was in Miami for this show. So the Art Basel show. Chump change is in the house, says Stash Game is on point today. Appreciate that. I mean, literally, right? We got them points out on the handlebars. I don't pull them down, right? Like I do the ape hangers. They're up high. So appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Good to see you in the chat. But guys, Art Basel, it was a great show. I didn't actually go to Art Basel. My team decided to go to all the after parties and all the associated like day parties and yacht parties and stuff. Straight up. I mean, there you go. There's a page from the playbook. If you're going to go to one of these massive shows, you know who goes to the shows? Casuals and tourists. You know who goes to the after parties? All the pros. So if you want to network and you want to meet people that are legitimately building in the space, that's where they're going. Because this is like, let me just show you this kind of stuff. This is just work for them, right? Like showing up here and having to like shake people's hands and explain what you were thinking when you made the artwork, or, you know, for the 100 millionth time, tell somebody like, oh yeah, I was feeling this way when I decided to mix these two colors of paint and do this thing. Or I was feeling this way when I decided to like copy paste this other visual element from my NFT and then like make it look like it was, you know, it had been covered in acid, you know, like there's, they just get tired, right? Like that's work. That's more work than creating the art itself. So the biggest networking happens at the parties, straight up. This is not a big secret, right? Like this is why people, you know, in LA and in New York have that reputation for kind of being schmoozers, maybe a little phony. And I get that. It's annoying when it's like too laid on too thick, the phoniness. Gallo Solomon's in the chat saying, sup y'all, appreciate you being here, man. Says, thanks for streaming on a Sunday, Seth. It's my pleasure, guys. I've taken too long a break from the regular streaming schedule, straight up. And I know that, which is why I needed to come back to you guys and talk to you a little bit about markets and show you what I'm thinking, right? Like share what I'm thinking about these markets. There is a secret shill. You guys can see it down in the comment section, but it's not for me. It is for, it's for somebody close to me, just so you know. But yeah, Art Basel, it was dominated by NFTs this time around, guys, in Miami. NFT art is kind of where it's at. These artists, they got the memo pretty fast. There are some artists who are holdouts and saying like, nah, man, I would never publish an NFT. That's terrible. And I mean, like, stay mad, I guess, whatever. Cartoonists, when the cell-based animation kind of moved more towards what's called digital ink and paint, the ones that held out, I mean, whatever, they can go get employed in Zagreb, right? Because there's still that, like, you have like federal subsidies, state subsidies for doing handcrafted art, right? Like, you can go to like Canada and get the Canada Film Board commission to go make your own handcrafted, right? Cell-based animation. Cool story, bro. Like, stay mad. But there are other people who are going to move along with the state of the art, right? They're going to move along with technology. And NFTs have kind of shown a very clear path forward for independent artists in this space. So I'm not shocked at all that Art Basel was dominated by NFT art. Not one bit. And again, guys, spoiler alert, I want to talk to you about my dad's art, who was an award-winning comic book artist. Literally got a Lifetime Achievement Award for his work in war comics, and also was recognized by the Big Five Collectors Society at Comic-Con San Diego, or by Comic-Con International. So spoiler alert also, I don't normally exercise this privilege, but because it is a privilege, right? And I don't, you know, I'm not about that life, but I do have the privilege of, if I contact Comic-Con International, I get an artist table at San Diego Comic-Con if I just ask for it. But I don't, you know, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy that's like riding my dad's coattails for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? But his body of work does endure, even though he's passed away. And my mom is still alive, right? Like she still lives her living is based on my dad's life's work. And so I've urged her to publish some of his unpublished early work as NFTs. I strongly believe that if he were alive and I had explained it to him, he'd be like, oh, yeah, totally. Let's do this. Let's give it a try. He was always very forward looking, always very adaptable. Even though he was an artist, he kind of pretended like, oh, no, I'm such a Luddite. Computers, what am I going to do with these? I mean, seriously, it's a long story. It's a long story. But I mean, he survived like CLI only computers back in the day, because that's all people had in the earliest versions of personal computing. And then various different iterations of sort of like gesture and GUI based input, such as the early versions of Windows, did Mac OS back on like, I think it was System 7, and like all of that, right? Like he went through all those iterations of technology and managed to handle it just fine because he rolled with it. He knew like, okay, to publish my art, I just have to deal with whatever the current state of the art is. And he lived long enough to see, hand coloring with like markers or with paint for cell-based animation for the backgrounds that he drew and the storyboards and such that he drew at the animation studios. He lived long enough to see that progress from the earliest tech that like Walt Disney innovated all the way into what studios like DreamWorks Animation innovated with digital ink and paint, and then also 3D objects, rigid body objects like spaceships and other things that were then shaded to look like traditional animated elements in the late 90s and then into the early 2000s. He saw all those transitions in the space where he was a professional, and he rolled with it. So I'm just saying, I think that artists who want to continue doing their art, they deal with it. They don't like pretend to be some kind of like purist and turn up their nose at a new iteration of technology that further enables them to make their art. That's just real talk. I was very fortunate and blessed to see that firsthand in my own home and within my own family. So anyway, guys, I'm kind of like getting really personal there, but I'm a relatively public person. Like, people know who I am, and people who already knew, knew who my dad was. So, yeah, there's that. Chump Change says, I think MYB action figure NFT. That would be hilarious. Yeah, we talked to Crypto Mikkel about printing little like G.I. Joe style parts. So you can just pop the heads off an old G.I. Joe and stick, little hat on it, whatever. Gallo says, that's awesome. Lots of talented Estradas, not just Eric. Hey, thanks for that. It sounds like a purist who doesn't want to leave film for digital. Absolutely. Guys, I went to film school as well. It may be the worst money I've ever spent in my life. But at film school, I knew people who said like, I'm never going to stop shooting on celluloid. Cool story, bro. Yeah. What are you doing these days? Literally everything. Everything is digital. But I digress. Let's jump back into the news cycle, guys. NFTs at Art Basel. I was not shocked at all to see that this is where serious artists have committed their time and their effort, right? Their talents are going to digital because they know here they can capture some profits. They're not just stuck selling reprints of their art on like Shopify or whatever. They can actually have NFTs with ongoing royalties that come back to them. And people say like, well, I just right-click saved your NFT. Now I own it. Cool story, bro. You could always do that. The difference is with an NFT, if somebody proves ownership and then it changes hands, the original artist gets credited. That was not possible. Even IP law, intellectual property law, was not designed to really help artists. It was designed. It's become a hollow shell of what it was before. I've talked about it on the show before, but the fact that Disney still owns the rights to Mickey Mouse is unconscionable. It's unbelievable that Disney still owns the rights to the Mickey Mouse character. They should not own it, according to the original intellectual property laws and copyright laws and patent laws of this country, at least, where Mickey Mouse was created. It should have fallen into the public domain years ago for anybody to use, a lot like open source. It's been so many years since Walt Disney died. That character should not belong to the Walt Disney Corporation. But I digress. And I'm not giving legal, financial, or business advice. We're doing 2 red screens in one show. Lucky you. All right, guys. But this one gets me really fired up. Because of some of the stuff that I saw in, with my own dad's career and kind of, had a chance to witness firsthand and the shenanigans that happen inside of creative industries. But NFTs and crypto, they go hand in hand, like, or crypto art at Art Basel, they go hand in hand with traditional art. Traditional artists maybe just need to see how. Here's one example. Hey, some goblin loser, I don't know, donated to the Ocean Conservancy. Thank you, brother. Guys, I need to give a shout out to, like, I've been associating some of these live streams with the Team Seas project here on YouTube. It's a big deal, guys. It's a big freaking deal. They did Team Trees a while back, but Team Seas is actually, it appears to be falling short of their goal. They set a goal, pretty aggressive goal, by the end of the year, and they kind of lost pace about 2 to 3 weeks ago. They were doing great at first, and then they kind of lost pace. I know a lot of us are thinking about Christmas gifts. I know a lot of us are thinking about giving to our families. Please consider giving to a charitable organization or something like that. I mean, it's a tax write-off. If nothing else, it's a tax write-off, and it's a provable tax write-off, so do consider, right? That's why I keep on adding it. They've got a lot of momentum, and maybe they can go the distance. Maybe. It'd be really cool if they could, right? So, plus, Mark Rober, the video that he made of the trash collecting, self-powered, like, carbon neutral, what are they called? Like a frigate? It is like a frigate, I think. It's not, I don't think it's technically a boat. But the self-powering, like all solar powered, collects trash automatically. It's a really cool system to help clean up the oceans. Dude, I don't know how much I don't know how much it would take to start cleaning up certain areas of the world, but you know, those net polluters could be cleaned up pretty fast. So anyway, I haven't been this excited about a conservancy project in a while. They actually got me excited about it, guys. So anyway, consider it. But jumping back into this is OpenSea, right? The NFT page for Rick Estrada art. This is my late father, who left behind some original artwork that was never published. In fact, not only was it not published, it was left unpublished and put in an archive, a paper archive, for nearly 25 years. Yeah, let me show you what I mean. There's a little bit of a backstory here, guys. A little bit of backstory. So this collection here, and I think, yeah, there's a little more of a collection, but right here, these are, we called this collection the Lost Watercolors of Rick Estrada, because they were lost for many, many years. They were just set aside. My dad put them aside for a while, and then my mom put them aside after she found them, and then she finally found them again. Here's a bit of the story here, guys. So some of the stuff a lot of it is from 1997, and very, very the end of 1997. A lot of very high output from my dad at that time, and here's the reason. He discovered that he had cancer. And, you know, people cope with that kind of news in their own way, right? Like, this is not something that everybody takes the same way. Some people are like, okay, whatever. I'm tired. I'm ready to check out anyway. Don't care. Really, some people, they take that really, really rough, and they just go that route. Others say, like, you know, I'm going to fight it, but internally they've got that anxiety and they worry, and it's not a good thing for them. Others say, like, okay, it's bad news, but life is still beautiful, and I'm going to do everything I can to make the rest of my time here the best it can be. And I really do think that that's what my dad did when he got that news. It was not like anything. It wasn't like, you know, cancer, like gallbladder cancer or one of these other kinds of cancers that is aggressive. It was prostate cancer that he was diagnosed with. And so there's a pretty high likelihood that he was going to be able to fight it in one way or another. So he said, you know what? It's still bad news. It's cancer. It's still cancer. So here's what I'm going to do with that news. I'm going to take that news and I'm going to leverage the time, whatever amount of time I have left, to start learning something new. He had never really done watercolors or painting. I know that sounds weird, but not all artists can do that. And so, yeah, some artists are pencil artists. Some artists learn a very specific medium, and that's what they stick to. Now, digital artists are becoming much more well-rounded, but primarily in digital tools. Some of them don't know how to use real-world physical media and paint. And my dad was one of those people who just said, like, you know what, I don't really know how to do watercolors as well as I'd like. And so this is him saying, like, oh yeah, I'm not really good at this. These were early studies of his. And yeah, there we go, guys. Hey, appreciate that. Golden Wolf says 25 likes, pop that up. I agree. Thank you, sir. But these were his early studies. He did some distance studies to try to create better blends of different colors. He found he found a couple of little locations that he could draw, or he could paint, either from various photo books or from other resources. We were not a very tech forward family, so we did not use the internet very much in our home at that time. And my parents, they were totally not very internet forward, not very tech forward. They did not. Yeah, some goblin loser, I don't know, says, sorry, still has cancer. Yep, totally. So he passed away. It's been 12 years now. He passed away some time ago. But here's the thing. This was 1997. You do the math, right? Like he lived a good, long life, and he made the most of it, is what I'm saying. And this is what he did during that time. When the moment that he got that diagnosis, he says, you know what? No time like the present. I'm doing this, right? Like others would say like, oh no. And he said, oh, yeah. All right, cool. I mean, I've always wanted to learn painting. Let's right now. I know I've got today. Like, I know I've got this week probably. I know I've got next week probably. A couple more months, depending on what the doctors are telling me. Maybe a year or two. I don't know. I mean, I'll get another opinion, but I know I've got today for sure. So I'm going to go do some art studies with these watercolors, and I'm going to get this thing done. So, guys, I apologize. I'm being really, really personal about this very personal story. But this is what he did with that time. He said, I'm going to go do some studies. And so he made these, and this is part of a smaller collection. It's not everything, but it's part of a smaller collection of just studies where you see an established artist, somebody who was already a professional artist in a different medium, exploring this medium. It's never been released before. We never published this at all. My dad never published it. The people he worked for never published it because it wasn't theirs. It was his, entirely his. But he never figured out a way in his lifetime to publish these in such a way that royalties would be assured and that it would hit a meaningful art market, right? A meaningful buyers list. So we decided to try this first run on OpenSea as a bit of just a preliminary test, right? Dipping toes in the water. And to let you guys know, I do not control the private keys. I do not control the address for this account at all. I set that up in such a way that there's a different side of the family that has sort of executive control over the estate. So there are checks and balances. I just want that to be very, very clear. Say that as publicly as possible. I don't hold these keys. And the profits do not go to me, not even a little bit. This goes entirely to the support of my mom, my father's widow. So yeah, that's important to make very, very public. But we got Raven Boy Crypto in the chat as well. Absalom also saying, I've seen his political cartoons. They are amazing. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, for a short time when way back in the 1960s, I know it's going to sound really, really crazy, guys, but way back in the 1960s, he worked for a newspaper in Berlin called the Spandauer Volksblatt and did all kinds of stuff for them. But also, I think at that point, he was also doing some writing for them. So kind of, yeah, I know. Crazy, crazy life. He was like he was like a Cuban Forrest Gump. He sort of met everybody there was to meet back at that time and happened to know everybody, had these crazy experiences all around the world. And yeah, he journaled about it, wrote about it, and shared a lot of it with us. But in the meantime, learned a lot about art. And this series here, these are his art studies, right? After a full career or two worth of art as a professional, he decided to create these studies because he was like, you know what? I'm seeing possibly the end of my life, and I've always wanted to do this. So he started. He actually did the thing. But again, this is an early study. This is him saying, I'm trying to emulate another person's work, but this is an early study. Some people would call this finished. Some people would say like, oh, cool, you've arrived. But for him, he's like, nah, I'm just getting started. And yeah, going on with several of this Hacienda series here, did a lot that had to do with water, light towers, or lighthouses, and then also some others that were just emulated from artists that he appreciated. But yeah, there's a smaller series here of studies. Yeah. Hey, some goblin loser, I don't know, says, not sure if my other comment is showing up, but I have cancer. I have a cancer story that I'm going through as well. Hey man, you know what? I'm here for you. Reach out. Please do. This stuff, we are a community, and thankfully, here at MineYourBiz, we're not so big a community that we can't take care of each other, right? So I'd love to hear that, and you got open ears on my end, right? So yeah, this is having lived through somebody else's cancer story. The support matters, right? And what you do with the time matters. It's a big deal. Like we sometimes we think like, oh, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do that thing, and yeah, it's not going to hurt anybody else. It's not going to affect anybody else. Nah. Bullshit. what you do matters. How you live matters. Who you are involved with matters. And what you do with the time matters. It just does. It does. Possibly in ways that we don't understand right now. So yeah, it was. This was inspiring to finally catch up to and see. And this goes directly to the support of my mom and my sister who has Down syndrome, who will be forever dependent on her and my family, right, to be taken care of. So we only have a few items in here, and there isn't an established floor price. The volume is actually quite low still at this point. And I talked to my mom about having some of these listed under, you can see with the different logo right there, wrapped Ethereum on Polygon to make sure that fees were very low and the asking price or the threshold price for bids, at least on the rest of these, was very low. The strategy being that people who wanted to get in early could get in at a reasonable price for art collection, and then would have some upside to be able to resell. The royalties, of course, going to my father's estate, which supports my mom and my sister. So that's kind of the strategy that I suggested to her. She said, you know, that kind of makes sense to me. Like, it does. We could ask for much higher prices, and that's fine. Maybe we'll do that with a different collection, because there are other collections that we're talking about publishing for her, for the estate, that have a lot more to do with his work, not only in animation, but also, but especially in comics, right? He was a long-term contributor to DC Comics, and he actually ghosted the weekly Spider-Man comic strip in the newspapers directly for Stan Lee for a year. That's a complicated story, but you know, Stan Lee's passed away now too. Maybe I can talk about it publicly at some point, but yeah, just very, very interesting. So yeah, like, but we're talking about some different strategies for those releases. This has been an early test. So again, like, this is me just saying, guys, do all crypto NFTs have to be punks? Do all NFTs have to be punks? That's kind of like the primary through line of this particular video. And my answer is no. I know for a fact they don't have to be crypto punks or a derivative of crypto punks or generative NFTs or, you know, the same kind of boring looking character that you can get somebody on Fiverr to grind out for you for $45. NFTs can also be traditional art by traditionally valued artists who are already celebrated, award-winning or not, right? Or just people who were have the arts as a hobby, but become quite good, or whose art speaks to you personally because of the story behind it. It doesn't have to be punks. It doesn't have to be, you know, apes. It doesn't have to be some derivative of, you know, of those two. It doesn't have to be 3D punks or some kind of like voxel-based punks or NFTs. It can be whatever it is that you value most. That's what I wanted to say about NFTs, guys. So moving on from that side of the news cycle and this side of my shilling, right? So if you are looking at potentially having art collected, I know that there's at least one that went into Not So Fast's collection over on crypto Twitter, and he paid what I think is a reasonable price at, I think, almost 0.6 ETH, and I think that those go in. I think that's a reasonable price for an established artist who received Lifetime Achievement Awards from the Big Five Collectors Society of Comic-Con International. So yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all. That said, I think we're trying out. I think my mom is trying out. She does control the prices here because this is really her business. I've just been trying to help her figure out some ways to approach it. I think she's okay with having minimum bids be lower and then evaluating those bids as they come in. So if you're interested in potentially collecting art like that, take a look. Here's some other news that is coming in: proof of work versus proof of stake over on Cointelegraph. And I don't know that I fully agree with their assessment that proof of stake is a good thing, but I do like their breakdown. And I want to briefly talk about this. Gallo asks, is that on OpenSea, on ETH, or on Polygon? So the original mint, we did a short run mint that was just on ETH on layer 1 on OpenSea, and then an additional mint of this little sub collection that's on Polygon, also on OpenSea. We're trying OpenSea for this collection, I think possibly only, and then potentially going to a different platform for future collections. So it's a great question. Thank you for asking. Dobbs is asking about a new blockchain, says it's live sharded, UTXO, proof of less work. Need your opinion on it. Cool. All right. Maybe we'll take a look at that later on in the live stream. But for right now, let's see this. Their breakdown, where I disagree that this makes sense. They say specialized equipment needed to optimize processing power. That's not true. Guys, we're a GPU mining channel. We started talking about GPU mining. We still talk about GPU mining. We support GPU mining. The GPU mining fam has been here in the chat. Again, shout out to Chump Change, Ravenboy Crypto, basically everybody in the chat right now, right? Golden Wolf, almost everybody has admitted to mining with GPUs because it makes more sense. It's more sustainable. There's an easier path forward to be able to see that you can switch from one coin to another. This is not a shock, and for years, this has played out, where some coins fall to ASICs, and then others maintain GPU compatibility, and then others still launch with proof of work that eventually moves to GPU compatibility. Raptorium. And others, right? Like this just happens. Ravencoin was the same way. Started kind of targeted at CPUs and very, very quickly moved to GPUs. I mean, like in weeks, moved to GPUs. So if you remember when those things launched, then you know, like GPUs are kind of the business. It's kind of where stuff moves to. And if you don't resist ASICs, then they come into the picture too. But you can. We've seen that. You can resist the onslaught of ASICs and stay on GPUs for a long time. But yeah, here with what they're saying, like specialized equipment, I don't know if I agree with that. A gamer at home that has a couple of GPUs in a couple of gaming rigs or just a couple of upgraded GPUs can contribute to blockchain and can earn profitably, especially in the middle of bull run markets or markets like what we're in right now. They say standard server grade units, usually more than enough. Yeah, sort of, kind of, except that standard servers also have high power GPUs. They have to, for transcoding and for other highly parallelized processes that will let you use CUDA and OpenCL. I'm going to get really nerdy there, guys. For anybody who doesn't know, these are libraries that run specifically on GPUs, and servers run them. If you go to AWS or you go to like Google Cloud, you can find servers that have like heavy GPUs in them. That's important for servers, for standard server grade units. They include GPUs. So what we talk about on this channel is sustainable in the real world, out on these servers too. So just wanted to throw that out there. It's kind of it's a false dichotomy. It is not this or that. Initial investment to buy the hardware, well, yeah, obviously. And that's the great thing. That initial investment you can be fully recouped if the hardware, like if the coin stops being profitable, you can fully recoup that investment, maybe not even by selling off the hardware, but by taking a loss on your taxes, writing off the hardware 2 to 3 years later. Because at least here in the United States, the IRS will let you do that for equipment you've purchased. You can't do that with an asset like crypto coins. If you just buy the coins, you can't just write off your losses in the same way. It's not the same thing. It's not a business expense in the same way, right? Like if you buy gold and the price of gold happens to dip immediately after you buy it, yeah, I mean, I guess there are, in some cases, you can write off capital losses, but guys, I'm not a CPA. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about that. But in business, it's the easiest thing for a small to mid-sized business owner, somebody who's like a pleb like you or me, who's just running a small to mid-sized business, to say, okay, well, I'm going to do my taxes this way. And do I have losses? Well, yeah, I have to write off my GPUs. Done. You recouped your losses if you weren't profitable mining. You recoup them in fiat too. You decrease your tax liability. It's not rocket science, I don't think. So I really strongly disagree with this. Like the initial investment is just buy the hardware, which is bad. Your initial investment here is to buy the stake and build the reputation. Well, proof of work requires no reputation. It's permissionless. The work is the proof that you are able to do what you're supposed to do. Being a good actor is as simple as just getting the mining rig to run. That's it. Yeah, it's very simple, right? Anonymous miners in the chat asking what's good today, boys and girls. Appreciate you being here, man. They say also that proof of work is high energy consumption versus standard energy consumption. I'm going to frame that differently, guys. I'm going to say that proof of work is standard energy consumption and proof of stake is low energy consumption, and that's fine. I mean, we can agree that proof of stake is lower energy consumed, but I would not call proof of work high energy consumption. It's high power density for a given data center for sure. If you're using GPUs or ASICs, it is high power density for the amount of space, but all of that is relative too. Not every single computer everywhere in the world is mining cryptocurrencies that we know of. But even if they were, that wouldn't be high energy consumption relative to the value it is creating. Anyway, you can have low energy consumption for an email server, right? And if it's not processing email all the time, it's wasteful, right? Like if it's processing email 0.01% of each month and you're spending $50 a month, well, that's wasteful too, now isn't it? All that energy of leaving that thing running. Anyway, just like, I don't know. I disagree with this on some level. I think it is important, though, to acknowledge that a lot of developers are starting to favor proof of stake, and we need to be sensitive to that fact. As they begin to favor proof of stake and build more tokens on top of proof of stake networks, we need to be able to move with them and accept that that's going to be a reality of markets moving forward. Does that mean proof of work is going to go away? I mean, I don't think so. No, I really don't. But it does mean that proof of stake is going to play an increasingly important role in blockchain. And again, like those artists having to adapt to the current state of the art, the current state of technology that empowers their art, I think we as tinkerers in the IT space, that's really what we are when we mine. We need to be adaptable to the mindset that maybe smaller, like maybe small scale and ultra low power devices are the direction we're going to need to go. Yeah, this is my project that I've been like flashing on screen for what, a month? I'm going to get around to this, guys. I promise. I've got a better SSD coming. I had spinning platters on here, a better SSD coming, but like, yeah, the point is, yeah, we may need to be able to adapt just a little bit and have some of our portfolio in proof of stake. Anyway, I rant over. But here's another bit of news that I think is hilarious. The Indian Prime Minister was hacked on Twitter. Why? To be able to promote Bitcoin. It's so beautiful. Love it. Okay, please tell me that they embedded the tweet. I don't think they did. It may have already been taken down as well. But yeah, the Prime Minister Modi has had his Twitter account hacked, basically saying India will now start to accept Bitcoin as legal tender. The country of India has begun by purchasing 500 Bitcoin. It's hilarious. And then it links to like this totally scammy website, which is probably going to get a bunch of people wrecked. But the initial part of the tweet was awesome. It was so awesome. It's hilarious to see that happen. Again, it points to an increased need for security over on Twitter. It's not good to see heads of state having their accounts hacked. I mean, except for when it is, right? It's kind of gratifying, kind of vindicating to see that today, guys. All right, moving into our chart. We got to see the chopsticks. What do they say? Yep. Hey, fortunately for us, right before the chopsticks snapped up whatever that 45K figure was on the daily, it looks like we saw a little bit of a market correction upwards. This is good, or a market recovery upwards. And it looks like the MACD, guys, the moving average convergence divergence. We've had that histogram entirely in the red for a while now. And just at the start of that move, you see that when we started to move down entirely in the red, it looked like it was going to recover. Those two averages looked like they might start to cross again. They didn't, right? It bounced off again, dipped lower. But now it looks like, who knows, we might actually be heading towards either a convergence. Would be amazing. And if we do have a convergence happen, then maybe we get back up into this range, into the 50K and above range. However, it looks like a really strong likelihood based on all the TA that I'm reading from other people that we might not recover. And what I'm hearing from other creators who have full-time technicians working for them, such as BitBoy, right? Shout out to BitBoy. He published today, which I think was a really good video, actually, just from his truck. It was awesome. But what I'm hearing from other creators that have full teams working for them to do their technical analysis is that 40K might be, I mean, this right here, yellow, right? I'm happy dollar cost averaging in here. That's fine right now, if we can pull back up. But if we lose 40K, I'm actually not going to call this green. We're going to redefine what this green means. And it might mean that there's a need to bail out to preserve gains from DCAing in this range. So moving back up to here, it was still okay DCAing. Up here, I was not okay with it. You know, here, nah, danger zone. Was not DCAing at that range. But once we get back here, my portfolio with Bitcoin recently from recent DCAs will not look so good. Just straight up, it just won't. So without giving anybody advice, that's a potential strategy that I'm looking at, is that 40K resistance or a support line. And then moving back up over the 50K, support line, right, the resistance line, if we can punch back up into this range and start performing in this area, then maybe we're in better shape for a little bit longer with Bitcoin. But there are a lot of people, yeah, who are concerned. Raven Boy Crypto puts it very, very nice. He says, green for deploy the shoots. Heck yeah, man. Don't break your legs on this, because if it goes down past 40K, we might fall very, very fast, right? Yeah, could be bad. That said, guys, it's not financial advice, and we literally just rearrange two lines as though they are chopsticks on this channel. Do not take this stuff too seriously. I sure as heck don't, obviously. But I also don't want to get wrecked. So I'm paying attention to what Bitcoin does, because what Bitcoin does, altcoins tend to follow just a little bit. Let's take a look at DeFi Llama. Oh, also, we did a little bit of rearrangement there. Going to go ahead and lock those in because this is a public portfolio. There's a public tracker, rather, on TradingView. But over on DeFi Llama, it looks like right now we've got dominance on the Ethereum side, dipping below 65K again into the 64K range, or 64% range, but popping right back up into the 65% range, guys. DeFi is still Ethereum's game all day. Looks like BSC is still growing as well. TVL is down a bit, but Terra Luna, Avalanche, and Solana are down the worst. And you know who's growing? Tron, of all protocols, and Polygon. You guys, you heard it here first. I told you we're going to cross 130 protocols listed on Polygon. Here we are. You keep hearing me talk about Polygon. Why? Because it really does have that that staying power. It really does have that much being developed. It really does have that level of partnership. It really does. And I'm not going to talk about, like, bore you to tears with, like, oh, look at the VCs. What are the VCs doing? VCs don't know everything. They don't always get it right. But here's the thing. The partnerships do matter, right? Like, having more projects build on a platform lends strength. And the TVL will come. That's fine. The TVL will get there. But I mean, in a bear market, who's talking about total value locked? Everything's deflated, right? Like, all the cash has been, like, leaked out of the system. It doesn't matter, right? The TVL on some level doesn't matter. But partnerships where people are actively building, that does matter. We talked about it last bear market. We're going to talk about it again as a new bear market rolls in, right? And we will be doing developer interviews again. I promise you that. As the bear market rolls in, we may flip entirely back over to an interview-only channel because we need to see who's building, right? Like, when you see a chart like this, it's like, oh, cool. Well, yeah, lots of protocols. Well, you know, again, I'm saying that Polygon is promising, but we'll know for sure when we get into a bear market and everybody has to get back to work. You know, the gravy train stops and it's not just easy money everywhere. When we get back into those conditions, I'm going to be following very closely up with Polygon to make sure that they're actually doing what this looks like they're doing and just building and building and building. Guys, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, do me a solid, make the button explode, and then click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live next. Your support is why I do this, so I definitely appreciate that. Also, if you have not hit that like button, be sure to do that as well. Every click counts. But guys, that's our DeFi Llama overview. Protocol growth it's happening. Guys, it's happening on Polygon. Avalanche is not too far behind with the protocol growth as far as the growth rate. They're growing maybe even at a slightly faster rate, but ironically, yeah, they're losing value. I don't know how that works, how you add more partnerships but lose more value, lose more dollars, but they did. Phantom also not too far behind that, nearing that 90 protocol mark. Could be that there are a lot of protocols that are shared between these three that are kind of going multi-chain at the same time. And so we're seeing kind of a convergence of all those different, like, stables and other lending platforms and stuff on all of these alternative side chain alternatives to Ethereum. That said, of the top 5, there are only 2 that actually are aligned with Ethereum. Obviously, the number 1 being Ethereum itself, and then the number 2 being Polygon. It's designed from the ground up. It was designed initially and is designed moving forward to be a dedicated sidechain and scaling solution for Ethereum. Not a competitor. Not at all. And that's why you had Ethermine jumping on board and saying, oh, sure, we'll pay out on Polygon. The idea is that it's meant to bridge straight back to Ethereum, right? Oh, cool. Well, then we can support that. No problems. Same with OpenSea. And same with all of the other platforms that have adopted it, like Coinbase. So you can even take, like with Coinbase, guys, your payouts that come out of Ethermine, if you want to stick with mining Ethereum, your payouts can go in their native wrapped Ethereum format straight over to Coinbase. Decrease your fees by a grip, right? And then still be able to cash out if you want to. If that's the route you want to go, is Coinbase. Fine, whatever. You do you. But if that's what you really want to do, you can do that on Polygon. You can't do that on some of these other platforms because they don't directly serve Ethereum. So that's why I feel so strong about it, guys. The ZK rollups that they're working on are amazing. They're getting extremely fast times on the ZK rollups, which are far faster than optimistic rollups. And so that matters for us. Privacy from ZK snarks being built into the protocol level. Oh. Guys, I'm going to sound like a Polygon shill because basically I'm actually convinced. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, guys. I'm just straight up. I'm going to just be open about it. I'm kind of convinced. It's pretty amazing. My day-to-day experience of Ethereum, whenever I can control it to be on Polygon, my experience of Ethereum is Polygon. I try to do everything I can on Polygon because most of the tokens that I work with are there. Anyway, guys, yeah, I do sound like a shill now. Whatever. At least I'm open about it. I'm not pretending not to be. So 14 cents per kilowatt hour for our power basis, guys, our cost basis for power. And it looks like our profitability has gone up just the tiniest bit, but it's still not great. RTX 3090 is giving us a base profit rate daily of about $6. I was going to say 639 cents. Who does that? Who talks about fiat in the atomic unit? That'd be like saying, like, you know how much you're going to earn in X coin today. You're going to earn exactly this many Satoshis. Sorry, maybe not enough caffeine, maybe too much. Don't know. But anyway, $6.39 is our top. Ryo currency on Kryptonite GPU is performing quite well there also. Looks like our top performers in terms of coins are Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Flux, Ryo, for who knows for how long, but guys, ride that while you can. I think probably a good project to take a look at. We'll check it out on the chart as well. Maybe it's risen in our rankings there. Zero is also on the list. Not too big a shock. It has been recently. Firo is there for Team Red on the newer Navi architecture on the 5000 series for Navi. And then it looks like, yep, Zero, Flux in the top spot for a couple of cards, LHR cards in particular, and the 2000 series RTX cards. Looks like Firo again for the Vega cards. Great to see an alternative to some of the other coins that are there. Ergo is notably absent again on the top 3 list. Hey, and you love to see it. 1080 Ti totally rejecting nice hack entirely. No nice hash entry there for the 1080 Ti. But interestingly, 1080 Ti only returning about 40 cents more profit, 50 cents more profit than an RX 580, a card that costs 1/3 the price of a GTX 1080 Ti. Guys, I'm going to gloat just a little bit. I feel kind of, I feel vindicated by that. People in 2018 and 2019 were like, no, Seth, you don't understand. You got to buy the most expensive cards because of resale value and because they're always going to perform better. I disagree. Sometimes architectural changes make the biggest difference, and your cost to acquire equipment matters actually more than anything else. It really does. So Team Red has always given a better value, including way back when Bitcoin was mineable with GPUs. It was still AMD that was mopping the floor with NVIDIA back at that time. So, yeah, I'm not even going to be humble about it, guys. I done told you. Uncle Seth done told you for years now. Team Red is not to be underestimated. Anonymous Miner is also in the chat saying 40 cents less and also half the power. 1080 Ti is a power hog. Yeah, you got that right, for sure. Especially on the algorithms mentioned here, right? Zell hash can be optimized a little bit, but those numbers are probably from intense overclocking. Kryptonite GPU as well, pretty well optimized algorithm, but on Ethereum, oof. Yeah, ETH hash to get that top performance, 50 hashes per second. That's for Zell. Okay, that's not for Dagger Hash Remote, and it could be these are not optimized numbers for the 1080 Ti. You could likely do much better on Ethereum than what they say, especially like the F pill if you know how to do your optimizations. But bottom of the list, guys, as per usual, are R9 380. It's still doing 14 cents per day, not looking awesome, and that's on Zell Hash. So at least you'll get the parallel assets paid out as well. Could be factored into some extent, though, but there will be future parallel assets paid out. So factor that into your calculations. It's not available here on What to Mine. And then the 1050 Ti, entirely bus powered. So that's hard to beat, right? As far as just fleet management. But yeah, those are GPUs and their profits in a nutshell. Guys, appreciate you again leaving comments and questions. Let me know what questions you have today about the markets in general. If you want to ask about specific projects, don't know if I have time for that, but markets in general. I might take a look at the project that was suggested before, though. All right, guys, back into our portfolios. We've got our GPU mining portfolio, Flux still in that top spot, Equilibria a number 2 spot, even though it's in a downward channel, Safecoin in the number 3 spot somehow, even though there's obvious signs of weird manipulation happening there. They do run their own exchange, safe.trade, and I have used it, and I really appreciate that it's based on Solana technology. They rebased Safecoin entirely to the Solana code base, and so it's very high performance, and that's what powers their exchange. I've really enjoyed when I do use SafeTrade, how smooth it is. The liquidity could be better, right? It's as centralized exchanges go, it is a low KYC, no KYC exchange. And liquidity could be could be improved, right, on exchanges this size. Some Goblin Loser I don't know says, "Ooh, this part is exciting. Waiting for the 0x Bitcoin." I know, man. 0x Bitcoin is always it's always a treat, right? Seeing where is 0x Bitcoin today? Why does it still exist? Who knows? All I know is Tash got flows, got the technique to get the ladies into some clothes. All right, back to the actual portfolio, guys. Just saying. Don't mean to take you back a little bit with some of those verses. But yes, Uncle Seth's got bars. If it comes to it, Uncle Seth has bars. All right, down bottom of the list. But yeah, don't ask me to freestyle all the time. All right, BitTube is our biggest loser. Unfortunately, still down really bad. And again, we see those really intense spikes that look like they may potentially be correlated to some kind of like bot activity or like a reaction there. So you massive spike up followed by a massive spike down. You don't often see like flashes in both directions the same way like that. That looks like manipulation to me. Unfortunately, it just does. Zero is also really low on the charts, but it's profitable on day-to-day mining. So just be aware of that, guys. This is a coin that may be in distress. So even though it looks attractive from a mining perspective, it might not be a good long-term hold. Ethereum Classic it's doing what Ethereum Classic does. It's kind of unpredictable. We'll see if it continues to get more developer adoption as we move towards the Beacon Chain merge with Ethereum, Ethereum's mainnet. Zano, wow, it rebranded. New art. That's really cool, though. I like that. That's really, really cool. Looks like two converging squares or two converging elements that have a Z in between them. I like that. That's cool. Looks like they're cutting into each other. Ryo currency as well. Looks like it is on the upswing. That definitely accounts for why the profitability is so high. 26% up in one day. Yeah, guys, beware. Ryo currency is an interesting project. It's got okay fundamentals, but dang, it's only got $1.3 million total market cap. You could move the market if you had a large enough mining farm and you were pointing it at this coin. So yeah, we have some people in the GPU mining content creator community who have enough hash power. They could leave Ryo kind of messed up after they hash bomb it. So just be aware of that. You know, be mindful. You don't want to kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Hard drive mining. Take a look at this real fast, guys. Looks like the portfolio is up over the last day, but it's still down overall. Storage is the only one that's in the profit. Everything else is down in the dumps, and Chia finally did it. Yep, it finally did it. It gave the $100 support gave out. It's at $99.39. It's a bummer, but it's kind of only had one direction to go for a while, and it's doing it right now. Maybe it recovers, but maybe this is dead cat bounce, but like so many other coins at this time. With Bitcoin kind of showing signs of illness. Could be that there are people trying to bail out. Maybe they're consolidating into some other coins. Maybe they are, fleeing to what they believe is greater strength on other projects. But that just does not look good at all. Even though the market cap is strong and the development team is funded, they're going to be fine. We'll see what they do in the bear market, though. So maybe they're one of those projects that I interview. Guys, let me know in the chat. Do you want me to try to bring Bram Cohen on? I'd love to be able to talk to him because I do respect the heck out of the guy's body of work, his career, his work ethic. With Chia, I think that there was a little bit of listing pump and flash in the pan action that for those of us who've been around and paid attention to crypto markets, we just kind of saw it coming. Like, this is nice, but is it sustainable? We asked. And the answer came back clearly kind of no on some level. So I would still like to interview him. Tell me if you'd like to see that. All right, jumping back into our CPU mining portfolio. Epic Cash is maintaining that #1 spot. It's ahead of Raptorium. Kind of a bummer, but it's really surging ahead. It's actually on an upward trend over the last week. So they're killing it. Market cap approaching $100 million to Max and Eva Freeman. If you're watching, guys, if this hits your desk, like, great work. You guys are, I think, being recognized for a lot of hard work. That's awesome. Raptorium, however, did have GPUs go onto their network, start soaking up some hash rate. That may be in part why it's kind of leveling off. Do I still think that it has the potential to go up to 50 or 100 million? Yeah, I do. I do think that it has that potential. It really does. And that would only put the coin itself at like 10 cents, right? So is it possible to see 10-cent Raptorium? I think so. I really do. Quantum resistant ledger is there as well, but that's the last one that's in the profit, and it's barely above break even. Everything else is in the red. Sorry to say. ASIC mining portfolio, guys. Let's take a quick look at the ASIC mining portfolio. We've got GMT token in the top spot. It's still there, kind of doing pretty well overall. Hey, we got Pocket Change in the chat. Tag in the homies, Cranky Canadian, Golden Wolf, and some Goblin Loser. I don't know. You have been summoned. Wife of a miner. The one and only Pocket Change is calling you. All right, guys, Nervos Network is our number 2 spot here. It's ahead of Bitcoin. And then Zcash is still in the profit as well. I'm going to continue to ask, who here in the chat can justify to me why you need Zcash when all EVM chains, including Polygon, have Tornado Cash? I'll wait. Let me know. But we got that as our last one that's in the profit. Devault is looking okay from a portfolio perspective, but it's still extremely low in market cap, and like every single trade kind of almost looks like manipulation because it's such a low market cap. Litecoin doing okay, but in the red. Pirate Chain still our biggest loser, moving towards $1. So if you thought it was okay at $1.50, maybe you're gonna love it at $1. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not here to shill Pirate Chain, but if you're a true believer, then you might want to take a close look at it right now. Evaluate what your strategy is. All right, guys. ASIC mining portfolio covered. Take a look at our FPGAs real fast. FPGA portfolio, rather. Cadena is still killing it, basically. If you didn't take profits up when it was higher, and you guys do recall, I am a strong advocate for taking profits. If you didn't take profits before, I'm sorry, but you did have an opportunity. If you had that $1,000 position way back at the end of May in Cadena, you had the opportunity to take some profits based on whatever it was your needs were at that time or are now. You had the opportunity to take profits that may not have been life-changing, but they might have paid for all of your gear. FPGAs, certainly, that got you into that position in the first place. So do be mindful. Do take profits. Cadena is a great project, and they've got a bright future ahead of them because of their advisory board and their building team, and as well as other things. But, I mean, it's not sustainable if we don't take the profits that we need to keep our operations going. So just taking a second out to remind everybody, myself included, we got to take profits sometimes. I think this is one of those prime examples of exactly that. Exactly that, guys. We do need to take those profits every now and then. Speaking of which, 0x Bitcoin, and yes, some Goblin Loser I don't know called it. Yeah, we got to make mention of this because it's up significantly. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you. Like, seriously, I got to tell you, this was dead last in this portfolio for weeks, right? For months. Now it's in the number 2 spot. Let's see. How can I say this strongly enough? Take profits. Just do it. Seriously. Don't leave money on the table. That'd be really dumb, right? That would be really, really dumb because we saw this thing dragging. It was the caboose of this portfolio before. Now it's in the money. Take the gosh darn money and run. Seriously, don't click the wrong button. Don't get wrecked waiting for this thing to like level off and leave your profits in the rear view. Be safe. Be safe. Take care of your needs, okay? Take care of your profit margin there, especially because you've been mining this with an FPGA. You got to pay for those FPGAs too. They don't pay for themselves. All right, guys, over on our proof of stake smart contract portfolio, we've got Terra. Solana back in the number 2 spot. It is recovering quite strongly, but Terra is still in the number 1 spot. Avalanche, Phantom, and then Wax still in the number 3 spot. Very, very strong. Moon River, thank you again, Cryptos Chain, for suggesting it, is here. Let's see. Some Goblins I don't know says that chart though on 0x Bitcoin, is it is still doing its thing. Yes, it is. Let's take a look, guys. Take a look at that oscillation real fast. Do we jump back? We do. We take a quick look. So it's still doing that crazy fast oscillation. We are going to open it up because it's interesting. Let me move our other portfolio back over, but it's still doing that really interesting thing where, oh, geez, first off, it's over $2.60. So that's crazy. But it's doing this thing where, come on, chart. There you go. See that? Up, down, up, down, up, down. like it's programmed, like it's on a smart contract network that people can program loans and trades and automate them on regular intervals. And then, of course, on centralized exchanges, that is totally easy to do if they have the right APIs for you to write a bot to do those trades for you. We've been observing this pattern. Thank you again for the call out, some goblin loser. We've been observing this pattern for months on 0x Bitcoin. This is just the last 24 hours, and we get about, we get a solid, like a handful, about a half dozen opportunities to get a really good swing trade in. So they're 244 up to 325. Good Lord. That is a lot. That is a lot. And it's just programmed over and over again. That same swing trade, 250. And if you ignore, throw it out as a false positive, set your parameters in your automatic trading bot, throw that out as a false positive, wait for it to break the threshold here. Once it's up, what is that? Yeah, that's fast though. It's only about 15 minutes. That's about a 15-minute window that appears to be programmed here on all these peaks. But if you make sure that your bot is programmed to execute within about 5 minutes, right? It has a 5-minute confidence window. Looks like there's a move that happens right there. Like we're starting to see this more. Thank you for calling it out, by the way. It's endlessly interesting, isn't it? Because somebody out there is making metric crap tons of money on this. It's obvious. Somebody out there is working this to their advantage, and they're making themselves a millionaire on this coin. They're just like rinse, repeat, take out my profits, boom, go back, get my bot to do its thing on this coin. Who knows what their position size is? It could be $10,000. It could have started with 100 grand or 100 and moved to 100 grand in the time that we've been observing this on the show, right? Like we've seen this. You've seen this. I appreciate you calling it out. So it's pretty cool. I legit, wish that was me. I don't have those skills. I know how to describe how somebody else might be able to do it, but I've never set anything up like that, but I know it can be done. So it's kind of cool to see that somebody out there is making money. I'm just happy for them, man. Somebody's making money on this. And the network isn't wrecked because of it. They haven't dumped. The liquidity stays about the same. The volume stays about the same. So they haven't harmed the network by doing this. If anything, they might be helping it by showing automatic volume, right? Yeah, some goblin loser gets it too. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. They're just like, they've turned this little coin into their own little personal crypto ATM, and they're just doing regular withdrawals. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You love to see it. People making it in crypto. But over on our proof of stake smart contract networks, we've got Harmony and Cosmos that are still they're still on my radar. I think Cosmos has a lot of staying power. Disclosure, I do some work for a company in my day job that has Cosmos related projects, but I don't work directly for Cosmos, and I don't get paid to say anything nice about Cosmos per se. Jack D says, what do you think about major brands getting into NFTs like the McRib NFT and the Budverse Can NFTs? That's a great question. Let's throw it on screen there. So I think that when it comes to commercial brands, guys, we saw commercial art take off back in the day. I'm drawing blank. We saw commercial art take off. The Campbell's tomato soup cans, the Marilyn Monroe, right? The quad reprint of Marilyn Monroe. Commercial art has been a reality for longer than anybody in this live stream has been alive. It's just part of art. And realistically, artists that don't do commercial work every now and then, they starve. Full stop. If you remember some of the best music video directors back in the 1990s and the early 2000s, when music video director was still a job that you could actually make money at, the best ones during that time, they worked commercial jobs. They worked it was something like somewhere between 2 or maybe 4 to 1, where they did commercial work, like for Adidas and Nike and Campbell Soup and Budweiser and everything else. And they did that commercial work so that on that rare occasion where they could do more creative work, they had their hands untied, right? Because their bills were paid. So commercial art is it's a reality. And with these brands like McDonald's and Budweiser getting into the game, they're just being smart about it, right? They're hiring good artists, and then they're creating NFTs that can be distributed that help spread awareness to the brand. But if they were really, really smart, here's what I think they would do. They would ensure that the royalty from those NFTs went back to the original artist, because that narrative would win over everybody. They would They would win the internet if they were able to just publicly say, yeah, such and such artist made this NFT. That's what NFTs are all about. And they're going to always get a royalty when these are traded. That might actually give them a market value. I mean, then they get the best of both worlds, right? They get more brand awareness, but they actually get an NFT out in the marketplace that has commercial traction on its own, like a separate profit center for there. So anyway, guys, that is our portfolio. Let me take a quick look here. Internet computer still our biggest loser. Not too big a shock there. Quickly, want to go into our junk drawer, see what we got hiding out over in the junk drawer. We got Saitama Inu, which is still, yep, I'm going to call $1 million profit. Still a one punch of profits out into at least, lower Earth orbit. That's pretty good. Floki Inu also returning great profits. It just popped way up the last 24 hours. Biggest loser is still, unfortunately, QuickSwap and Dragon's Quick. But let's just be very real. Those were originally airdrops. And as a governance token, for them to be in the hundreds of dollars, that's rare. All right, guys, I'm going to call that a day for today's live stream. I got to get back to a couple things with my family. Also need to do, unfortunately, got to do some Sunday work today. I needed to check in with you guys, let you know that I think we're still okay. But I think that when it comes to some of these markets, we need to be aware that this is we're reaching crisis time, right? We're reaching crisis time, up or down. But this yellow range here will tell us a lot about where the market will go next. I think it really will. If we can't hold that support at the bottom of this yellow range, it could spell trouble, right? It really could. And if we can pop back up and stay up above this yellow range into the red range, I think maybe we get to enjoy the high life, right? In crypto, the crypto high life a little bit longer, but we have to make a plan for either contingency. We have to just be prepared for it to go either way. And it's not that, decision time, it's going to be really, really hard to figure this out. No, the decision is quite easy if you get a sense for like, okay, well, if this is what happens, then my plan is to do that. If this is what happens, my plan is to do that. Make your plans and prepare to execute. Guys, you're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thanks for watching to the end of the video. Be sure to check out mineyour.biz, where you can sign up for our email newsletter, where we're still ramping up content, but you will occasionally receive specials for flash sales and all kinds of other deals that we have going on the site. You can also check out our services page, where we offer consulting to projects that need it. You can pick up the Freedom Phone, which respects your privacy. You can pay for it in crypto and have it shipped to you anonymously, as well as getting merchandise that also is paid for with crypto. That's right, we practice what we preach, including, well, a Flux swag page. That's right. It's a dedicated page just for the team over at Flux Network, because we love them that much. Thanks for watching to the end. Thanks for being subscribed. You know I love your face. Be sure to stay private and mind your biz.